What's up, guys? Kevin from the KO Podcast. Today we are starting our new series called MLB Get Ready. This is the series where I talk about each MLB team and get you guys ready for this season, giving you some information, some record predictions, some bold predictions along with that. And so you guys know when I do post a video for this series, please like and subscribe and turn on post notifications. And once you do all of that good stuff, please comment down below what you think about the Miami Marlins, because that is the first team we're going to do. And please follow all our social medias. Go to our website, and we have a lot in store for that website. We're working on some articles, working on some collabs that I do want to do. And our next stream will be July 9th with Octavio Sequera and Alfre Alvarez de Con las Bases Llenas. So we're going to start with the rotation. Now, when I see this rotation, from what it was a couple of years ago during the Loria era, the regime of Jeffrey Loria, that was not a good rotation whatsoever. The only big piece in that rotation really was Jose Fernandez. And yes, they did have some little pieces like Dan Herron, Matt Latos, Tom Kohler. Those were some players that when you look at them, they weren't bad, but it was just an underperforming Marlins team. Now, they blew it up, everybody. You know, Derek Jeter comes in, he trades the all-star squad that they had, because that was an underperforming team 100%. Justin Bour, JT Realmuto, Stanton, Gordon, Yelich, that was an underperforming team. Now, when we look back into it, do you guys think Christian Yelich would have been a good rebuilding piece? To me, that would have been the best rebuilding piece. But let's keep this in mind. We would have never had Jordan Yamamoto. We would have never had, I think, Monte Harrison. Monte Harrison was not I think he was included in the Ozuna trade, if I'm correct. But we wouldn't have Yamamoto, and we wouldn't have a couple of the guys. Isan Diaz we wouldn't have. That is a great spot in the team. I will continue with that later. But we're going to start with the pitching rotation. Alcantara, Smith, Lopez, Urena, Yamamoto, and Hernandez. Sandy Alcantara, Caleb Smith, Pablo Lopez, Jose Urena, Jordan Yamamoto, and Eliezer Hernandez. What do I think about this rotation? Now, the rotation is usually 5 pitchers. What do I think the order will be? I think first opening day starter will be Sandy Alcantara. I don't think Jose Urena deserves it after a bad year. Now, is he a bad pitcher? Of course not. He's a good pitcher. He's shown he could pitch well. But do I think he could pitch well to be the opening day starter and that number one, your ace? No. My second pitcher will be Caleb Smith. He has been an absolutely great pitcher for this team, no doubt about it. He has performed extremely well. I'm surprised he didn't make the All-Star team either, but there are so many players and so much young talent on this team that who knows who could be an All-Star. Now, if you did watch our first podcast with Octavio, which was not a live podcast, but it was a podcast, which was pre-recorded and then we recorded and then we put it as a video, I'm going to roll the clip right after I say what he said. He said that 3 Marlins players will make the All-Star team. Who do I think those could be? Sandy Alcantara would be the first one. Second, I 100% have to put the man himself, Brian Anderson. And then there are a couple other guys. We could say Jorge Alfaro has a good chance. Maybe Jesus Aguilar comes back and just plays like a god. Jonathan VR, Miggy Rowe. I would like to say Alcantara, Anderson, and Miguel Rojas. I think those will be our 3 All-Stars. Now, roll the clip of Octavio saying that.
So, number 4. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to give you my number 4. My number 4 is the Miami Marlins actually will have not just 1, but 3 players in the All-Star game. I think you mentioned the talent. You know what? I think they have the talent to make some noise this year. And definitely next year's, in the years to come, they will win that division. I think it's about time.
Okay, now you guys saw that. We're going to keep going. My third pitcher, I hope it is Jose Urena. Now, you guys should be saying, why not Pablo Lopez? He's such a good pitcher. He has ace potential. But we have to have a middle of the pack guy, a guy who's not too strong or too bad. So I think, to me, that is Jose Urena. Then we have to finish it strong. You put in Jordan Yamamoto to finish it. Now, do you guys all remember when Jordan Yamamoto first came? How did he start his season? 4-0. That is incredible. Yamamoto is a good pitcher. He came in the Christian Yelich trade. He's been a good piece to that trade. Now, to finish it off, Pablo Lopez. I love what Pablo Lopez did last year. He really proved he could go out there and he could make something happen. I love what he did. I do not have his record in my memory now, but he had a good season. Now that leaves the odd man out, Eliezer Hernandez. I like Eliezer Hernandez. I saw him pitch live in Philadelphia. Went to a game. We won that game. He was not that good. I do like him as a relief pitcher, though. Middle reliever pitcher. A long reliever. Remember Adam Conley. If you guys do remember, Adam Conley was a pitcher. He was a starter. He was in that rotation. He was one heck of a pitcher. He gets injured, goes into the bullpen. He plays pretty well. He's a middle-packed guy. I think he's their setup guy. And then the finisher. We didn't have a clear finisher until Sergio Romo. But besides that, I do like the rotation the Marlins have. And then we have some guys who are going to come up, like Edward Cabrera, Sixto Sanchez, Nick Nader, many guys. Roy Holiday, however you say it. I like this pitching rotation and the future of the pitching rotation. Now, do I think Sixto Sanchez will rise up and come in this season? No. Out of these pitchers, who do I see getting traded? Either Jose Urena or Caleb Smith. Caleb Smith, just because of how young or how good he's been and how much young talent we could get back from him. A good team to go trade him to is one of those packed teams. San Diego wouldn't be bad. Tampa Bay. Last year we got Jesus Sanchez, and we got this Lewin Diaz was part of the Sergio Romo trade. I will go into that a little more into depth. But yeah, and Jose Urena, he has been on the block for a while. He's been talked about to getting traded. And of course, Eliezer Hernandez, I do have to put as my third guy to get traded. I do not see them trading Sandy Alcantara. I think he is their ace for the future. Same thing with Jordan Yamamoto and Pablo Lopez. Those guys, to me, are untouchable. Now, would I be happy if they traded Caleb Smith? Heck no. I do not want Caleb Smith to get traded. I love Caleb Smith. I think he really does deserve the starting role as the ace. He has to be that guy. But Sandy and Caleb, they've been fighting for it, no doubt about it. Now we're going to move on to the bullpen, everybody. We start with Drew Steckenrider. I like Drew Steckenrider. He's not been bad injuries. I think I've heard him. Brandon Kinsler. Man, that was a good signing. When I saw his stats, he was a great reliever. He's been an all-star before, so this will be kind of a Sergio Romo situation, maybe. You start him as you making your closer. He dominates. You trade him trade deadline, and that's it. You're good. But he is a little bit of an older guy. Maybe you could bring him back for another year until he retires. If you get finishing out his career in Miami. We're going to continue with another guy, Ryan Stanek. When we got him in the trade, I had no idea who this man was. Saw him pitch a couple of games. I wanted him out of Miami. But he still has room for improvement. Do I think he could be part of this team? Now, he was born the same year as Caleb Smith. He was actually born 2 days before, so they're the same age. So they're both young guys. He's a young guy, so I do like that. We're going to go with another guy, Yimi Garcia, our free agent signing from the Los Angeles Dodgers. What do I think about that? I do like it. I like the signing. If he's a Dodger, let's keep going with that. He's a Dodger. So I do like the signing of Yimi Garcia. I have not seen much of him. I wasn't able to see much of the spring training games from the Marlins a lot because of school and quarantine. But to continue on, we have Sterling Sharp. He's not shown much, but he's on the roster this year. So let's see what he does. I think he could be a great player. He's born 1995, young guy. Adam Conley, I did talk about him a lot, guys. So I do like Adam Conley as a player. He was a great starting pitcher, almost threw a no-hitter for the Marlins against the Brewers a couple years back. So I think he's going to be a great player. Now, what do I see him part of the trade deadline block? 100%. He was a guy who many people have been looking into trading and to acquire him. A lot of these teams want to acquire him. Now, Jeff Brigham. I like Jeff Brigham. I've heard good things about him. I haven't seen him pitch at all, but he should be a good player. Steven Tarpley, another guy, comes from the Giancarlo Stanton trade. I think he's a good player, and he should be able to help this team out. Now, out of these guys, who do I think is the closer? Brandon Kinsler. I think Brandon Kinsler easily would be a solidified closer for this team until his time ends in Miami. Now, another guy who I do not see here is Brad Boxberger. He's a good player. I like what he's done for this team. So yeah, and I also think he could take over this closing role for the Marlins. But we're gonna continue on to our next position, which is the catcher position. I did see huge improvement in bringing Francisco Cervelli, but we have to talk about the man himself, Jorge Alfaro. Jorge Alfaro is on his way to being one of the best young catchers in the league. If you guys don't remember, he was involved in the JT Realmuto trade along with Sixto Sanchez. I did not know who Jorge Alfaro was, but I knew immediately he would be our starter, and he did not disappoint whatsoever. He was one heck of a player last season. I do not have his stats in front of me, but I do like what he did last season. And then we have Francisco Cervelli, who really would be a great player to bring in and show what he's got. And then we have another guy like Chad Wallach, who has that injury concerns. Ryan Lavarnway, good player. Same thing with Brian Alvarez. But I'm going to tell you guys Jorge Alfaro's stats. Last season, he played 130 games, which is perfectly fine. 44 runs, 113 hits, 57 RBIs, 22 walks. Strikeouts, he had 154, home runs 18. That's not bad. Compared to what he did with the Phillies, he played only 108 games, 35 runs, 90 hits. He had a huge season. Could have been a comeback player of the year if they had that reward in the MLB. So, yeah, and when you see Francisco Cervelli, he's going to be a guy who's really going to take this team in a leadership kind of way. I love Francisco Cervelli. I did meet him. I met him once. He was on the Pittsburgh Pirates. I went to a Marlins game. I said hi. He did not respond back to me. Francisco, hopefully one day you want to respond back to me. But yeah, besides we have Chad Wallach, who is supposed to be this young, bright catcher for the future. But let's keep this in mind, everybody. Injuries. Injuries have hurt this man to the max. He could have been a great player. He could have been on this starting lineup over Jorge Alfaro if he really proved himself and if he didn't get injured. Luckily, he does play first base. Then we have two other guys here, Brian Alvarez and Ryan Lavarnway. I have not heard anything about them. I will do more research when I can, and I will get back to that. Now we're going to move on to first base. We have Jesus Aguilar. I love the signing. Now we have the universal DH. This is what scared me big time about Jesus Aguilar and in this situation of bringing him in. They claimed him off waivers from the Tampa Bay Rays. I loved it. I immediately liked that they brought him in. Now, keep this in mind, everybody. There's a universal DH, but there's a young man named Garrett Cooper right behind him. On the depth chart, I'm looking at it right now. Jesus Aguilar is in front of Garrett Cooper. But Jesus Aguilar most likely will be that DH, and Garrett Cooper will take over first. Jesus Aguilar is a chubby man. I am sorry to tell you, Jesus, but he's a chubby man. He is not going to be as quick, as agile as Garrett Cooper will be at the first base. So, Garrett Cooper did have a great season last year. He put up great stats. He really did surprise a lot of people. So, Garrett Cooper did put up, he had 381 at-bats, 107 games played, 52 runs, 107 hits, 50 RBIs, 33 walks, 110 strikeouts, which is a lot, but it's okay. And 15 homers, 281 average. That's actually not bad. He did come in from the Giancarlo Stanton trade from 2017. He did play 2018. Very minimal minutes, though. So he was a guy who really impressed. Nothing to say the least. Now, when you compare to Jesus Aguilar stats, they're not the same because he's been playing for longer and he's more useful. Now, last year with the Rays, he did have 37 games played. He came in mainly for a playoff stretch, 92 at-bats, 13 homers, 24 hits, 16 RBIs, 12 walks, 22 strikeouts, 4 home runs. That was with the Rays the second half of the year after he got traded. In Milwaukee, the first half, he did have 8 home runs, so you added that up. It is 12. Strikeouts, he had 59, 31 base bola, walks, 34 RBIs, 50 hits, 26 runs, 222 at-bats. Now his all-star season with the Brewers, he had an insane year. 35 homers. Yeah, his strikeouts were a little bit high, 143. Walks, 58, 108 RBIs, 137 hits, 80 runs, 492 at-bats. That is incredible. And then he has his years with Indians. But besides that, yes, this is a guy who will hit as a DH, I think, in my mind, in my eyes, my vision for this team. And I think Garrett Cooper will take the first base starting spot. Now we look at second base. Isan Diaz, I love Isan Diaz. He came into Christian Yelich trade. And then we have Jonathan VR, who we traded for. I did not know what he gave up, but it wasn't much to get him. I love Jonathan VR. He was a first baseman. I mean, he was an all-star. I'm sorry. He was an all-star. I did love, just a couple years ago, he was the star. He was the star player in that Orioles team, Baltimore Orioles. Worst team in the league to me. But yeah, besides that, I do like Jonathan VR, but I do think he will be playing the outfield. I do not see him taking over second base over Isan Diaz, or maybe he will be a DH in my eyes. But when you look at this, there's so many players who could take over that outfielder's position. Do I think Lewis Brinson will take it? He must prove himself to the max. I will get to Lewis Brinson later. I will put my little rant. But besides that, yeah, I like Jonathan VR, I like Isan Diaz. VR did put a good stats. I didn't know who he was. I just never thought he would come to the team, in the trade. But this was simply just for the young guys. With the Orioles last season, 642 at-bats, 162 games, which I think he played all of the games. It's impressive. He did come from an injury. So 111 runs, 176 hits, 73 RBIs, 61 walks, 176 strikeouts, 24 homers. That is insane stats, no doubt about it. I love what he did for the Orioles, and I think he could bring that to the Marlins and just take this team to the next level. And he is Dominican, so the Marlin fans better be happy. We're bringing in guys who, are Hispanic. And now we're going to go to Isan Diaz, compare his stats over to, what's his name, Jonathan VR. This was his first year. He did not play many games since he was a September call-up, 49 games played, 179 at-bats, 17 runs, 31 hits, 23 RBIs, 19 bases, walks, 59 strikeouts. He did underperform, but he did start off really hot, and he did have good moments because he did have 5 homers. I remember the first game. I saw that first game. Someone tweeted, if Isan Diaz hits a home run on his first game, I will buy you a jersey. Dang. He hit it. That tweet blew up. The Marlins tweeted at this, man. That was hilarious. Hey, if you're watching the video, tweet at me. Just send me a tweet. Because I'm still waiting for that jersey. I'm just saying. But yeah, we're going to keep going. And we're going to go to third base. This is the brightest spot for the team. We have Jonathan VR again. Because they do put him at all the fielding spots. But we have Brian Anderson and Miguel Rojas. Where do I think Brian Anderson will play? He is insane. He is an insane player. He is one of the young talents that really benefited from the post-Loria era. Because if you remember, he was a bench bat for the Marlins that final year. The final 2 years, he did not show too much. If you look, let's look it up. Brian Anderson stats. Because he did not do much for that team during the Loria era. 2017, that is, I think, when the rebuild started. He did play 25 games. That was the final year, actually, of the rebuild. This rebuild's only taken, 2 years? 3 years? I don't know. But 27 games, 84 at-bats. He had no homers, 28 strikeouts, 10 walks, 8 RBIs, 22 hits, 11 runs, 84 at-bats. I think that was the final year of the Marlins, Stanton, Gordon era. And then we have 2018. This is where he really showed what he's got. 11 homers, 129 strikeouts, 62 walks, 65 hits, 65 RBIs, 161 hits, 87 runs, 590 at-bats. He played 156 games. That is incredibly good for Brian Anderson. And then last year with the Marlins, even though they did have a worse year, but they really showed what they've got. I think that was his best year, 20 homers, as a best year with 4 homers. Then he did play a lot less games due to injury. He played 30 games less. He did have a season-ending injury, sadly. But he had 57 runs, 120. Yeah, his stats went down a bit, but not home run-wise, not RBI-wise, not walk-wise. Yeah, walk-wise, actually, yeah. But yeah, this is a bright spot in this team. And when you look at it, Brian Anderson is a guy who, how can we say this? He plays incredibly well at both positions of the third base and at the right field. Where do I think I want him? Personally, when you see with the depth, Jonathan VR, Brian Anderson, Miguel Rojas. That's the thing. I want Miguel Rojas to play. I do not think he's a bench bat, even though he was a great bench bat for the Marlins the final 2 or 3 years of that Loria regime era. along with Derek Dietrich, if you guys remember. That was great. That was great. Those were two of the best bench bats the Marlins had. But I think Brian Anderson makes his way to right field, and Miguel Rojas to third base. I will tell you guys my starting lineup at the end. Then we have shortstop. We have Rojas, VR, Birdie. This is where I think easily VR fits, no doubt about it, because I think that's the best spot for him. Now you do have Birdie, but I think Birdie is a better bench bat, like a first DH. One day Jesus is like, hey man, Gary Cooper either gets injured because he is an injury-prone player, so you put Jesus at the first base, and you bring in Birdie, and you put him at the DH spot. He could be an easier first bat. So yeah, but who do I see there? I think I see Jonathan VR there. Now we're going to go to left field. This is where the Marlins, it gets complicated. Newly signed Corey Dickerson, Harold Ramirez, who did have a good season last year. Then you have Matt Joyce, and you have Garrett Cooper. Who do I think will play there? I have no idea. But they both had good seasons. Everyone there is a good player. Now, Harold Ramirez did play his first MLB season in 2019. He put up really good numbers, actually. 11 homers, 91 strikeouts. Not bad, actually. 18 walks, 50 RBIs, 116 hits, 54 runs. And he had a good amount of bats, which is over 420 at bats. Yes, 420. But besides that, I see Corey Dickerson taking over. He had a good season. He's been an all-star. He's proved what he's done. What he did in Philly was incredible. What he did in Pittsburgh and all the teams before, I think Tampa Bay. He was a great player. And then you have Matt Joyce, who could help as a bench player. Come in maybe, mid-game or at the end of the game. You're winning or losing. He will help. Then you have Garrett Cooper. I think Garrett Cooper is the starting first baseman. No need to put him at left field unless everyone there is injured. Now we have center field. This is the biggest spot. This is the most difficult spot to predict. We have Lewis Brinson, John Birdie, VR, Sierra, Ramirez. I could see Ramirez playing any of the three, but who do I think will be the starter? I would like to see Ramirez or Sierra. But honestly, knowing the Marlins, it will be Lewis Brinson. Just because of the simple fact that Lewis Brinson needs to prove himself. The Marlins want to see what he could do. He was supposed to be the big piece of this Christian Yelich trade, but he has winded up to be the worst piece of the Christian Yelich trade. So he has to hit over 20 homers at most, to me, to show, hey, I'm worth it. Keep me on this team, and I will make it happen. So yeah, and then we have John Birdie. I already said I think he's a bench bat. VR, I think he's the shortstop. Sierra, he has shown to be a quick guy. If they gave him more time to play, more playing time, I think he would be a good player. Then if Harold Ramirez, I already talked about him. Right field, this is where I think Brian Anderson fits immediately. I love Brian Anderson as a player, as a guy. I did not meet him at the Fan Fest. I hope to meet him next year, hopefully, if there is a Fan Fest. Then we have Ramirez, Joyce, and Cooper. Now, I will tell you my predictions here. These are all the same guys. I've talked about all of them. Who do I think should be the right field? Brian Anderson. No, nothing else to say. Now, I want to talk about free agents that the Marlins should sign. We look at those, and then the best one is Jacob Ellisbury. He's a center fielder from the New York Yankees originally. We have Russell Martin, Wei Sheng. Please do not talk to me ever about Wei Sheng. Ben Zobrist, that could be a good bench bat, honestly. Zach Cozart. Then we have Mark Trumbo. Mark Trumbo, if you guys looked at Giraffe Nick Mark's video, shout out to him. He predicted Trumbo to go to Marlins. I actually liked that prediction because he would be a good first baseman for this team. For sure. 100% first baseman. Then we have Yasiel Puig. If the Marlins don't sign this man, if you want people to actually watch the Marlins, bring in Yasiel Puig. Cuban guy, loves Miami. I think he has a house in Miami. Bring in Yasiel Puig. He could be easily your starting right fielder or starting outfielder. And then we have Pat Neshek. He's been pretty good for the 76ers. I would bring him in. Then we have Andrew Kashner. CC Sabathia is no longer in the league. Jason Vargas, do not talk about him. Then we have Steven Pierce, Drew Smiley, Fernando Rodney. I remember Fernando Rodney. Sam Dyson, Aroldis Vizcaíno, Addison Russell. I'm going to talk about some of these guys. Tell you who do I like for the Marlins, starting from top to bottom. I'm not going to go through the bottom. There's so many free agents. We're just going to start top 10, top 15. Jacob Ellisbury. What do I think about him? Haven't seen much of him, but he was a Yankee. He should be extremely good. Do I like him for the Marlins? I'm not trying to say that I want many center fielders because now this year we're rolling with the taxi squad. Who do I think could be on that taxi squad? Simple. Josh Chisholm, Monte Harrison, Jesus Sanchez. Now, if you were to replace Monte Harrison or Jesus Sanchez, I would replace Monte Harrison and put in Sixto Sanchez. Just in case, because, the taxi squad, pandemic. I'm not going to say the name of what it's called. I do not want to get demonetized. But then we have Russell Martin. I don't think they need another catcher, but bringing another one wouldn't hurt, because you guys saw what I said about the other catchers. There's two guys I have no idea who they are, which are Brian Navarreto. I think I did see him play, though, and Ryan Lavarnway. I have no idea who those guys are, so it wouldn't hurt to bring a guy like Russell Martin that is a Dodger or was a Dodger. Then we have Wayne Chen. I'm not even going to speak of him. Ben Zobrist. I like Ben Zobrist. Do I think he can make an impact on this team? 100%. I do think he can make a big, big impact on the team. Then we have Zach Cozart. Zach Cozart was a good player when he was on the Reds. Do I think the Marlins could bring him? It wouldn't hurt. He is a third baseman. We need third base help. Looking at the third base depth chart, we have actually never mind. It wouldn't hurt to bring in a guy like a man like Zach Cozart, just could be out there, just be there. You'll be a bench bat once in a while. You'll come in, replace Miggy Rowe once in a while, because I do see Jonathan VR not as a third baseman, but as a shortstop and an outfielder for the Marlins. Then we come with Mark Trumbo. I love Mark Trumbo. He was a home run champ, I think, once, or participated in. He was on the Baltimore Orioles. Did underperform after that. Never was the player we saw in the home run derby or that season in general. So I do like him as a DH. They literally, it says position DH. I don't see him playing any other position unless, Garrett Cooper gets injured and you put him in there as a first baseman, which I think that is what he plays. And he also plays the outfield. That does not hurt at all. Then we have Yasiel Puig. Miami, please bring Yasiel Puig. Yasiel Puig is an all-star. He's one of the best right fielders in the game when he is at his best or in his prime. Please bring the man in. I beg you. When we look at this team, what do you think? Comment section, please. Where do you see Yasiel Puig? I personally see him as a center field, replacing Lewis Brinson, or you could possibly move Corey Dickerson. You can move Dickerson to center and then put Puig at left field, which wouldn't hurt whatsoever. I think that would be a good move. Then let's keep going with Pat Neshek, former Philadelphia Philly. I did see him pitch a couple times. He was not bad. He was actually a decent pitcher, nothing out of the ordinary. So this wouldn't hurt for relief pitching, because our relief pitching is a little bit weak. Not going to lie. There's some players that I'm surprised the Marlins did not keep from the minors. To me, a good player here would have simply been Sixto Sanchez. I do like Sixto Sanchez, but I know what people said. Give him another year. Give him a couple more years. But I don't know how much years you want to give him. He's been a really good pitcher. Urania, I do not know if he will be in the rotation. He is shown as a rotation player on the depth chart. So, but if you guys do remember, he was injured for 60 games or 60-day DL, and he did wind up as a closer. He did not pan out to be a good closer. Then we have, after Neshek, we have Cashner. I have talked about Cashner on the podcast with Alfre as a possible player to go to the Yankees. Why not to the Marlins? He's a right relief pitcher, good player. Then we have CC Sabathia. He's retired. I do not know why Spot Track has him on as a possible player on the free agent market. Unless he is a free agent. If he is, please bring him in Miami. He's a great player. No doubt about it. He would easily be a starter. Then we have Jason Vargas, the Varghese, as J.F. McMark says. I would like Vargas, but he's Vargas, and he's nothing out of the new. Then we have Drew Smiley. Drew Smiley last year, he was with the Astros and I think with the Philadelphia Phillies. He was not a bad pitcher. He's a medium average pitcher. He wouldn't hurt. He's a starting pitcher. Now, if you do pass him down to the relief, the bullpen, it wouldn't hurt. We're going to come with our final couple players: Steven Pierce, Tyson Ross, Fernando Rodney, Bust, CM Dyson, former Marlin, Vizcaína, Danny Salazar, Addison Russell. Actually, Addison Russell would not hurt. I do like Addison Russell. He was a great player for this team of the Cubs. And then we have Justin Bour. I just saw his name out here, Los Angeles Angels. I love Justin Bour. I have no idea why the Marlins originally traded him. They ruined his career, really, because now he's playing in China, or Korea. I have no idea where he's playing, but he's playing in Asia. I did love Justin Bour. That man could smack the ball, take it to the next level. He was a great player. Now we're going to keep going. Brian McCann, former great player. Tim Beckham. I remember Tim Beckham. He was a great player. Then we have Brandon Goyer. Yeah, Jeremy Hellickson. If you guys don't remember Jeremy Hellickson, he was a good player. This will not hurt for the Marlins. This is signing for the will not hurt for the starting pitching or the leadership. But when you do look at this, I do talk about the Marlins as a team that needs more leadership, and I just think they do. Yeah. And then we have other players like Dan Straley and Javi Guerra. If you guys do remember. Yeah. So I'm not going to talk much more about free agents. As I'm going to talk about my predictions for this team. This is a dark horse team, everybody. The Marlins are simply one of those teams that you do not know with the 60-game schedule how they will pan out. I think they will easily. Now the playoffs are extended. It's a longer playoff series. So when you look at it, what do you guys think? Tell me in the comment section. Do you guys think the Marlins will make a big push for the playoffs? Now, if you heard Michael Hill's press conference, I did not watch it, but I did get a couple quotes, and the most common one is, why not? Why not go after at least the playoff berth, everybody? A wild card and losing there would be an absolutely great season. The Marlins would reconsider bringing in a lot of these guys and even maybe bringing in bigger stars, because the Marlins are a team that went out there and did spend a little bit of money, not too much, but if you trade a couple guys, clear a little bit of that cap, you should be good to go for the rest of the season. Now, my thoughts on the coaches that the Marlins currently have. We have Don Mattingly as our manager. I like Don Mattingly. Now, I love him. Yeah, I love him. There's no way you could say you don't like big boy Don Mattingly. Now, did I think he was going to get fired? I thought he was personally going to get fired. So, yeah. And then we have James Rosen, bench coach. Big story about this guy, actually. I think he was the former Twins hitting coach, which is actually good. Because the Twins did take it to the next level. With him, they did have the most home runs in a season. So, yeah, that was a good hire. And then we're going to keep going with our coaches. We have Eric Duncan as our hitting coach, Robert Rodriguez, assistant hitting coach. Mel Stoudemire, he has been a good coach. I think they should keep him. Then we have Billy Hatcher, first base coach. Trey Hillman, he's been in this team for a while. Wellington Cepeda, bullpen. Then we have Rob Filippo, bullpen coordinator. And then we have other guys. Koji Tanaka. I do not know if he has any relationships to Mashiro Tanaka. And then we have Eddie Rodriguez. Besides that, not much more there at the coaching. We're going to go with some non-roster players. We have Brad Boxberger, Tommy Avell, Braxton Garrett, Dylan Lee, Aaron Northcraft, Trevor Rogers, if you guys do know who Trevor Rogers is, Nick Vincent. Those are the pitchers, actually. And then we have catchers, Will Banfield, Santiago Chavez, Brian Navarreto. He's not on the team. Huh? Then we have infielders, Eddie Alvarez, Jose Devers. He should be a good player. Gosuke Kato, Christian Lopez, Sean Rodriguez. That was I did not meet Sean Rodriguez, but I did see him at the Fan Fest one day before, coincidentally, the day after he got signed. He already had his jersey, hat, everything. Outfielders, I do like the outfield, and of course we have to talk about the outfielders, the addition of Matt Kemp. What do I think about that? I'm surprised. I'm surprised about the addition of Matt Kemp, but it will help. JJ Bleday, he's gonna be an absolute god for this team. He heard Connor Sion, he was the spring training man of the year for the Marlins, no doubt about it. To me, he dominated the spring training. Then you have Victor Mesa Jr. I did meet one of the Victor Mesa brothers. I'm pretty sure it's Victor Mesa. I'll pop the picture here, and I'll pop up a couple other pictures of other Marlins I did meet. I did not interview because I did not have the channel at the time, but now I know what I have to do for the next one. But yeah, we see this team. I do like what they have. Now we're going to go to the 40-man roster. That is the same one we've seen. Oh, actually, never mind. I'm going to read a couple guys from the 40-man roster you guys do not know. Sandy Alcantara, Jeff Brigham, Edward Cabrera, great player. Adam Conley, Robert Duggar. Hopefully, Robert Duggar does pan out to be good. Yimi Garcia, Jorge Guzman, great player. Laser Hernandez, Jordan Holloway. He's an up-and-coming guy. Brandon Kinster, Pablo Lopez. Humberto Mejia, Nick Nieder, gonna be a great player. Sixto Sanchez, the man. Sterling Sharp, Caleb Smith, Ryan Stanek, Drew Steckenrider, Stephen Tarpley, Jose Urania, Yamamoto, Alfaro, Cervelli, Wallach, Aguilar, Anderson, Birdie, Chisholm. I love Jazz Chisholm. I'm actually going to talk to him about him right now. I love Jazz Chisholm. I thought he was going to make the roster this season. He did not, unfortunately. But he most likely will be a taxi player. And then you have other guys like Garrett Cooper, Diaz, Lewin Diaz. I love Lewin Diaz. The future for this man is bright. We acquired him in the Sergio Romo trade. Now, if you guys remember this season in the free agency, Romo was rumored to come back to Miami. Now, let's keep that in mind. He was rumored to come back to the Marlins. And when you look at that, man, if he came back to the Marlins, the Twins would have lost that trade. 100%. We would have literally had everything. That whole trade would have been ours. Because we have Lewin Diaz, and then we have Sergio Romo. Sadly, he did re-sign with the Indians. Or the Twins. It was the Twins. I'm sorry. Then we have Miggy Rowe, VR, Brinson, Dickerson, Harrison, Matt Joyce, Harold Ramirez, Jesus Sanchez. Now I'm going to play a little clip. Maybe I will, maybe I won't. But it is about Alfre Alvarez from Con la Paz y Llenas. He is talking about how good Jesus Sanchez was in it. How people reacted to when this man hit the ball. It sounded different. I'll play the clip right now.
Muchísimo. Jesús Sánchez. Este jardinero. Yo estaba cubriendo un partido entre Marlins y Nacionales, quizás unos 2, 3, 4 días antes de que se cerraran los campos de primavera debido a esta pandemia que estamos sufriendo.
Sí.
Y mira, cuando Jesús Sánchez entró a batear, los batazos de este muchacho hicieron que todas las personas que estaban en ese momento pararan todo lo que estaban haciendo para solo mirarlo a él. Dicen que cuando uno lleva mucho tiempo en esto, de ver béisbol y de estar en un estadio, hay ciertos jugadores que tienen un sonido especial cuando le dan al bate con la pelota. Este muchacho tiene ese sonido especial. Este muchacho sacó, no sé, 10, 15 pelotas por encima del techo del Roger Dean Stadium.
And then we have Sierra. I love Magneto Sierra. So we're going to keep going. Now, record-wise, I have no idea what the record could possibly be. But if the schedule does come out, I will put it here. Now I'm going to come out with my starting team. The first player, now I already told him my pitching rotation. My first base, my catcher will be Jorge Alfaro. First base, Garrett Cooper. Second base, Diaz. Third base, we're going to put Mickey Rowe. Shortstop, VR. Left field, let's say Dickerson for now. Center field, Brinson. Right field, Anderson. And then our DH will be Jesus Aguilar. Now, we're going to wrap it up here, guys. I hope you guys did enjoy the first episode of the MLB Get Ready series. Tomorrow we will be talking about the Atlanta Braves. I am extremely happy. Actually, not the Braves. I'm going to be nice to the Philly fans. We're going to talk about the Philadelphia Phillies. We're going by each division. If you guys want more information on the Marlins or any of the teams, I have already written articles on the KO Podcast website. I will leave the link to that in the description as always. My name is Kevin Barral again from the KO Podcast. I hope you guys all have a great day. Like and subscribe to the channel. Leave a comment below what you think about the Marlins. And tell me what team I should possibly do next. Once again, Kevin Barral. Peace out. See you guys all in the next one.